This is not These are old loons with a couple of teeth and one eye. All right, shared amongst themselves.
Yeah.
They're the Grey Sisters as Fates. So, like, they're not conniving smart. And then we see them freak out when Hercules gets his immortality.
That's true.
Had
They
they
didn't see that
waited
coming.
to cut that, they didn't see that coming. So, no,
seen that
they're
coming.
old bats that Hades has wrapped around their finger.
Hello, mortals, monsters, and myth lovers alike. You're listening to Podcast of Poseidon, where we explore how ancient myths become modern pop culture, braiding Rick Riordan's, Percy Jackson, and the Olympians. This is Chapter 26, The Golden Fleece. I'm your co-host, on loan from the Hunters of Artemis, Darian Smart. Joining me is my co-host and brother, hailing from Caucasus, DJ.
It's Colquise.
Are we going to do this every time now?
Well, hey, first off, we nailed down this pronunciation before it started.
Yeah, but I had such a good flow going. I didn't want to interrupt the intro flow. Which apparently I was the only one who felt. Okay, fine. We have to go to the camp store now and see if we can find our flow again. All right. Hey, DJ, guess what?
What's up?
Well, you should be able to guess. We have a guest.
You're right.
You should be able to guess this because he's right here. Let me introduce to you all the mastermind behind Gaming Theater Presents on YouTube, the man behind the GeekScorpio handle, Leo Garcia.
Hi, everybody. I'm Leo Garcia, also known as GeekScorpio, and I run a channel called Gaming Theater Presents, where in it we do a couple different things, all video game related. Our biggest stuff right now has been a parody Let's Play that we do. We're currently going through the recording of Chrono Trigger right now, but other games in the future. The another section that we have is we do analysis on video games and video game design with a game designer that's on there. Is our buddy Rob. And lastly, and this is one of my favorites that I've been working on, has been legendary artifacts and soon to be legendary creatures of gaming, where we explore different artifacts and creatures that keep randomly coming up in pop culture, but also in video games that keep showing up as well, and sort of the origins of where they come from and why they keep reappearing as they do.
Nice.
And that is exactly why Leo is here today, because the Golden Fleece definitely counts as a legendary artifact that kind of just keeps reappearing.
It keeps on trucking.
But before we go any further, Leo, we have a super important question. What cabin are you from?
Oh, I'm from cabin number 11, Hermes' cabin. The trickster and the guy who basically will show up in random places.
Not untrue. Not untrue. And also, Leo, have you ever read the Percy Jackson series?
Sadly, I have not read the Percy Jackson series.
No, that's okay. Will you watch the Percy Jackson series when it is on Disney+?
I will. I already saw the first movie. Did not see the second movie. But
Yeah, we don't
talk
talk
about
those
the movies here.
All right. So I have seen nothing of Percy Jackson.
There's nothing.
There is nothing.
You've seen nothing good.
There's no war in Ba Sing Se.
There is no Percy Jackson live action movie. It came out in
Okay.
20 whatever.
So let's talk about the books. Leo, since you have not read the books, I hope you don't mind if we just throw that ball to DJ first. Davis, what do you remember about the Golden Fleece in the Sea of Monsters?
I remember it is the main reason that Polyphemus was managed to attract so many satyrs, and why they just never came back was because they went out looking for Pan, and they sensed really big nature energy, and that was the Golden Fleece. But Polyphemus had that, and so he was eating the satyrs that would come along. Grover found it, managed to get a hold of Percy by making a empathy link, and then Percy went and saved his ass.
Yeah, he did. And so, they get the fleece, all Odysseus style, as we talked about a lot in the last episode. And two things important about the fleece. One, it turns into a Letterman jacket when affected by the mist, which I always thought was weird.
I think it was pretty cool.
Yep.
I like the look of Letterman jackets, so.
Okay.
I wonder if it gives you your own letter for that if you're holding the fleece.
It actually says it has it on there. Percy describes it when they give it to Clarice and she takes off with the fleece. It is.
I'm assuming it has an A for Ares.
No, I think it's a Greek symbol. I think it's the Omega. For no reason other than I think it's just that's the coolest shape.
Honestly, fair.
It is a pretty cool
shape in my opinion, in the Greek alphabet.
They're talking about it's Clarice's quest. You get to go to the airport, take it with you. So they give Clarice the fleece to take off. She gets on, so they're not going to make it in time, right? Talia's tree is dying. That's why they need the fleece. It has powerful, so in the books, it has powerful nature magic. Like, that's why the satyrs were all attracted to it.
And it's generally healing magic.
Yes. It could heal her. The tree that protects the boundaries of Camp Half-Blood from being invaded by monsters all the fucking time. Because apparently this place where all of the gods' children are at, the gods have never actually invested in any sort of security system themselves.
Yeah,
They just let this dying demigod girl do it.
Just let the one person take care of it
Yeah,
all.
and she's a tree. She's actually not even a person. She has been turned into a tree. You don't know this, Leo. So Talia Grace, daughter of Zeus, all right? About 5 years before this book starts, her buddy Luke, little Annabeth, Annabeth is 7 right now. Talia's like 13. They're trying to get to Camp Half-Blood. They just barely make it. They get overrun by the fiends of the underworld. Talia sends Luke and Annabeth ahead, and she stands her last fights defending her, make sure her friends get their time. But she falls in battle.
She manages to defend off all those fucking monsters.
Yes.
So she's kicked ass.
Yeah. So she kicked ass, and as she's dying, her daddy Zeus turns her into a pine tree. Sure.
Pine tree with the magic to protect all of the camp.
Yes, and so it's her very soul is what creates the borders to protect Camp Half-Blood, which is cool. Like, I'm not going to say it's not cool.
Now, that's a sweet security system. It's the whole... kind of have the, one catch that you got to be stuck as a tree.
Yeah, like, she's a tree. And it's also kind of like she just died hella heroically. She had a fast pass to Elysium.
Oh, 100%.
On that.
Nice.
Zeus turns her into a tree. So now the tree's been poisoned by Luke because he grew up and had daddy issues in his bag. And I'm going to tell you all this because you don't know. It's very important for this part of the book.
Luke is a dick.
Luke is a dick. We don't support him here on his podcast. Do we support tearing down Western civilization? I do. Not the way Luke's doing it, though.
No, Luke's a dick.
Not by rebuilding an old regime. That's not the answer to this.
Yeah, no, it's never a good thing to go to do that. I'm a history buff, and I know not a great thing.
We have Leo here to tell us why that's not a good answer.
There are so many people who don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would be like, let's reinvest in the Roman system. Yeah, not great.
No.
Oh, how about we go with the Old English once again? Not great.
All right. So I found so they get to Florida after they have left the Sea of Monsters, and the mist sets back in. The mist, Leo, is the plot device that obscures Greek mythology bullshit from mortal eyes, and it also works on demigods sometimes. So even the fleece had transformed from a sheepskin to a red and gold high school letter jacket with a large glittery omega on the pocket.
Okay, so it's stuck with the omega symbol, which, on the one hand, super cool. On the other hand, if anybody else wants their hands on the fleece, not hard to spot.
Not very much able to tell. That's the fleece. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would like if on the back it's got like it doesn't say this in the book, but the high school mascot, we went to Middleton Vikings, so the back of the letters and jacket had that like really weird Viking thing. I want the back definitely to have the ram, or at least the Aries constellation.
I would love the constellation.
The Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, we had that logo.
It was the Minnesota Vikings one. Like, what? Not what this episode is about.
No, it was a really weird though.
All right, so they get the thing for the quest. Clarice takes off. They get the fleece on the tree. Hills Talia's tree. Borders are secure. Camp is saved. Hooray!
Hooray!
A little too good of a job.
A little too good of a job because, Leo, what do you think happens when the fleece gets on that tree? That is the last remains of a dying demigod.
Doesn't it recover them? Possibly zombified?
Yes, but not
zombified.
Yes, exactly.
It does so good a job that she just is there next to the tree. It's not like it got rid of the tree. The tree is still there. And it still protects.
Yeah.
But now she's just there.
Yeah. So that was something.
Now, is she fine?
She's fine.
Yeah, she's actually fine.
Wow, this is an amazing jacket.
Yeah, it's been like 5 years. It's an amazing jacket. Yeah, it's really stylish. She's only aged about 2 years because she's been a tree.
Yeah.
But
tree terms 2 years.
about 2 years, as we find out in the next book. We don't know this. That's actually, we talked about my favorite cliffhanger ending, right? Like,
It's a good
holy
one,
shit.
honestly.
Oh,
I'd
it's
say
so
out of all of them, my favorite cliffhanger is
my favorite.
Mark
I
of
like
Athena. I loved that cliffhanger.
Oh, well, okay. Oh, Mark of Athena is a realm unto itself. It does not compete against others. It is in a different class. Yeah, so Talia is back because the fleece works a little too well, and it's great. And also, it's like, yeah, as you see, the tree's still there. It still has the borders, which is just like, is it just now the fleece's nature magic is what is actually protects? It's not Talia's soul anymore. She has that. I hope.
So does that mean that the tree has to? This is me thinking outside the box. We have to keep the jacket on the tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, once they get to Camp Half-Blood, it turns back into the ram skin, and so you just have this large pine tree at the top of this hill that is like protected, like there's a ram skin hanging from the lower branches, and just a dragon, because you gotta protect.
Pete. I think it's Pete the dragon.
Wow, way to come full circle in the myth.
So
I love it.
So on that note, let's dive in to the mythology behind this bad boy. Leo, there are 2 pieces of the lore of the fleece. Do you want to cover where the fleece came from, or do you want to cover the quest to find the fleece?
I'm gonna go with the one where it came from because I think I've got most of that information.
Go for it. All right.
Lodged in
All right,
here.
and I'll tag. Then you'll tag me in, and I'll tell you about.
And then tag me in if,
Tag me in,
if
Coach.
I
I got my letter jacket. Tag me in, Coach.
So if I recall, the way this works out is essentially the way it starts off is in the original Greek story, it's supposed to be this is the story before the Odyssey, before the Iliad, one step before that.
Mm-hmm.
And with it goes, from what I understand, that is like this. There was a Greek king whose name is Athamadus, I think. Athmas?
Let's say yes.
Yeah. Let's just go with Athmas. I'm going to butcher more words than I care to imagine, but I'm not going to.
That's fine. That's part of the show.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying, here's the warning. If you want to correct me, yeah. I deserve it.
You can find him at GeekScorpio on Instagram. It's in the show notes.
Just send me a direct message, and I'll be like, just let me know. So anyway, he gets to, and I love this quote from Edith Hamilton's Mythology, which is where I read most of this.
Same.
And I just found it in the back corner. But anyway, so with this, the way the Golden Fleece begins is that there's a Greek king named Athamadus who basically, and the quote is, got tired of his wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Just
got tired of the wife.
Got tired. Wife's fine. Not very bored.
Yeah. I think this is super important. Real quick. Who is his wife?
His wife is actually someone pretty important. Oh, what is that name? Yeah, so his wife is Nephili, of all people.
A goddess.
A goddess? He was like, bored. All right, so with that, Nephili is his first wife, a goddess who is afraid that, after he gets bored, decides to remarry again. A princess named Ino. And the very thing that Ino does is that she's like, you know what? Or she's, Nephili, it gets worried, hey, what if Ino decides to usurp me, and probably murder my kids, to get her own child onto the throne?
Because Ino has gone full evil fairy tale stepmother at this point. She is actually plotting to kill these children.
Actually plotting to kill these children. Now, and the one thing I'll give Ino credit for, does not decide to do this as a, hey, let's just straight up murder. No, he goes through kind of a wacky scenario to get this, to get the murdering done. So the way the wacky scenario works is this. First off, plan A. All right, we got to do this in steps. Number 1, steal all the seeds of corn. Every seed of corn in all of the land, so that way nobody can plant seeds of corn specifically on that. Step 2, convince the king to send somebody out to the oracle, not to let the king leave, but to have some other chump come out to go to the oracle. Step 3, convince the tell that guy to bribe by bribing him, or threatening or whatever, convincing them to tell him, if you don't murder your firstborn, we're just never gonna have corn again.
Yeah, sacrifice your kids.
And that's
to
the
God.
plan. That's the solid plan there.
And I do.
This is not exactly an Ocean's 11 style thought process on this.
Okay, but here's the thing. It works though.
Yeah.
The king goes to
I mean-
sacrifice his kids.
Yeah. So he goes off and he's like, and they do all this. They get a messenger to go to the oracle. Messenger comes back. Yeah, king. Apparently, according to the gods, kill your firstborn or we'll never have corn again. And popcorn's a big thing. That's new here. If we don't watch our Greek plays without popcorn and the occasional wine, we got
Literally
nothing here.
invented theater. What do you mean we're not going to have popcorn?
Theater first, popcorn second. That's how the invention system rolls.
You had what we all right, here's the point. They invented popcorn first, and they're like, but what do we do with it? So they
Yes.
invented a theater to have a reason to eat it.
Yeah, so it works, and the king decides, after some pressure from other popcorn lovers, fine, I'll kill my son. And from the nearest I can figure, has some regret of doing this, but still gonna do it.
I mean, when the oracle says you gotta sacrifice your kid to the gods,
Yeah,
You
bad
don't
things
really-
happen when to his credit.
you don't
Bad
really
shit
question
happens
the
if you don't
oracle.
listen to the oracle.
Yeah.
yeah. You don't listen to the oracle, you do listen to the oracle, someone's getting murdered. That's just how the
Damned if you
system
do,
how it
damned
works.
if you don't.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's about to go off and kill his son on Phyrex?
Yes, that sounds
Phyrex.
Phyrex.
Needs more umlauts. Phyrexis. So what? So he's planning to go as Phyrexis. Meanwhile, Phyrexis' mom, Nephi, is like, okay, I'm getting desperate. I'm gonna pray to the gods. Doesn't really, and this is where it gets kind of messy. A lot of these have been interpreted so many different times that there's not a whole lot of specifics on which way it goes. From near as I can figure, praise to every god. Just goes through the gambit. Just speed dial.
Anyone whoever's just making phone calls. Who's available?
Who's
at
available
this
at
A
time.
lot of people
And-
do that. You need help. You're just
Yeah.
like, hey, I need help. I need help. Let's see what God will help me in this situation.
Yeah, basically, I will message every single one. First come, first serve. I'm not picky.
Unless it's Hades, we don't fuck with Hades.
No. Don't mess with Hades' stuff. You're like, we'll just skip that one.
I didn't know I had him in my contacts. Delete. Oh, it's there, so if he calls me, I know to ignore the call. Okay.
Yeah, you don't delete that number either.
I
You
don't
keep
know
it.
if you
Yeah, that's when you
ignore
have to
that
have
number
the
either.
Well, you just let it go to voicemail. Just screen it. You let the voicemail, the transcriber function, just tell you what he wants.
Yeah, you don't want to directly
You'll text him
avoid.
back later.
We'll text later. But, lo and behold, my bro Hermes just decides, you know what? I'll help you out. And with this, here, now I'm going to send you, need something, ram. Flying ram. Yeah, go flying ram. Go.
Flying golden ram.
Flying golden ram. Just go. Go. Go.
Winged ram. It does
Winged
not just
ram.
fly by magic. It has wings.
It grows wings. It can just fly on its own. It just sends this ram out. Which, you know, if you're the first, which I expect the situation to be like this. The king is, all right, gotta go step. Is that a flying ram that I'm seeing here? What's going on? And the ram comes by, picks up, apparently has hands, or just, I like to think anthropomorphically uses its wings, picks up Felix and his sister, which just shows up in the story at this point.
Yeah.
Picks up his sister, Hela, and just, we're gonna fly off now. Away! And totally Deus Ex Machina's their way out of this mess.
I mean, quite literally, Deus Ex Machina is like godly intervention.
And this
The
is
Greeks invented that shit too, additional to popcorn. They invented that for their plays.
the right place. It's all a system here. Once they do that, the king is basically, well, I tried, and gives up. Just quits.
Fair. Yeah, flying golden ram.
This is the equivalent of, yeah, I'll give up on this when pigs fly. Well, shit. Here we are.
Okay, cool.
All right.
No doubt.
So they fly away, and they're making their way to Caduceus, I think is his name. No, not Caduceus. Coquelins, the Coquelin area. Coquelins?
Clock.
Coquelin.
Well, DJ corrected me earlier. What is it, DJ? Colkeys.
Colkeys. Okay. So they fly away from the Colkeys. Partway through it, Hela just gets tossed off.
She looks down. She was told not to look down. She looks down, gets vertigo, falls off the ram, drowns in the ocean. It's okay. This part of the sea now bears her name.
Yeah, this part of the sea bears your name. Because that's how the naming convention is. What?
Yeah.
We need a name? Well, let's find a celebrity that sort of died off here close enough.
Yeah, basically.
Fun fact for any of you locals in this area, we still have that Twin Falls Gorge. If we followed that same naming convention today, it would be called the Evil Knievel Gorge because Evil Knievel fell off an entire gorge. Lived, but he fell off the whole
I didn't
thing.
know that.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. That's your naming convention. Every time a celebrity dies
You just name it.
in the gorge, we change the
It's
name
a
of
name-
it.
Yep.
And there are some crazier ones out there. But
Phyrexia gets away. He gets
Yeah.
all the way to Colchis.
yeah, it gets all the way to Colchis. Once at Colchis, Colchis is really big about not liking any kind of outsiders at all, except for this guy, Felix.
He's cool.
He's cool. You know what? Felix will come. You're a pretty cool bro here. Check it out. If you want to, you can even marry one of my daughters. Just give some kind of dowry for it. All right. This is Felix's thinking. What do I have? I got it. And sacrifices the flying ram for the king.
And the king loves
That's
it.
fair.
The king loves it.
King Hades is super
Because-
into this golden ram fleece. He's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, 80s is super going on. 80s?
80s.
80s. I'm like,
I watched a
That's a-
TED Talk video on that one.
80s. So 80s is super into this ram. The only thing that gets weird is again, this is one of those mistranslations, and this will keep coming up through this whole story. According to what different sources are, that was sacrificed to Ares. According to some, Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
According to, I think in one story, it's actually Athena. So basically everybody but Hermes.
But
Hermes is the guy who gave you the ram in the first place. Just what? He gets nothing. But nonetheless, gets sacrificed. The fleece is still perfectly intact, so they just keep it and put it on a tree
Put on a tree?
that's being guarded by a dragon, and just sort of, well, job's done. Here we go. And
Dragon
that's
that never sleeps.
the dragon that never sleeps. The dragon just is going to, and that's a security system you can count on.
Actually, yes. As long as there's no internal meddling or backstabbing, this security system will hold up.
Yeah, there's no way that this could fail us. But yeah, that's the beginning part of the Golden Fleece story.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, it's wild. There's some connection to the Golden Fleece or the flying ram to the constellation of Ares in Western zodiac tradition. But I couldn't find a lot in that, or if the ram's name was Ares or something else. But I throw that in there because I like stars.
Yeah, well, there's like a figure that's where they get the constellation for, but I could not, in all the research I could find, tie these two together exactly.
Exactly, right? It was just some throwaway line where I'm like, I don't know if I buy that one, Chief, but okay, I'll mention it for the fun
I don't have enough evidence to say it didn't count that.
Mm-hmm. Don't have enough to say it did.
Yep.
So now we get to that's where the fleece came from. Now we're going to talk about why Percy Jackson specifically had to go after the fleece. And it is because, much like a lot of things he has done in this particular book, is because Jason did it too. So
Jason did it. Got to do it too.
Some other
Jason,
Greek hero did
comma,
it.
of the Argonauts.
You gotta have Percy do it.
Yep, gotta have Percy do all the things that any important person from Greek mythology did a thing. Well, Percy's gonna have to do the thing. That's the series. That's the point of this. We're teaching kids about mythology.
Oh, and that's a fun way. Unless you're Percy who has to do all the stuff, then less fun.
And it's less fun when you have to do it. Yeah. All of it. So this is the Golden Fleece's most well-known, prominent role is in the Jason the Argonauts myth, and it does way less than it did in the myth of Pherex and Hela. Which I keep saying Hela. I'm pretty sure it was just Hel, because it's E at the end, not an A. But so here's just a quick backstory. Jason's father was king of Iolcus, and Jason's uncle was an asshole who was also the son of Poseidon, who overthrew the king. And when Jason gets older, he's like, all right, I'm going to come back and reclaim my rightful throne. And his uncle's like, all right, bet. Why don't you go give me the Golden Fleece and I'll give you your throne? And Jason's like, cool. So he, like an 80s movie, put together a ragtag team of
I'm making a
adventurers
team.
and they go
You
sailing.
son of a bitch, I'm in.
That was him talking to Orpheus. Hercules just heard for the next room and burst through the wall. You're making a team?
I'm putting together a
You
team.
son of a bitch. I'm in.
That was how everybody greeted him. Atalanta was already on the ship. So
It's a who's who, really, depending on who's the who writing this.
Exactly. We're not going to get into the
No.
Argonauts so much right now. That'll definitely be a later
Quite a bit later thing when we get
Quite
to
a
the
bit
point
later.
where Argonauts actually like come up in conversation
Well, I mean,
because they called their ship in the second series the Argo 2.
Yeah. I think we got to hold some
Electric
stuff
Boogaloo.
for...
Essentially,
Yeah.
It was named by fucking
gotta
Leo
hold some
Valdez.
stuff.
I wouldn't doubt it if he made that joke.
That's the actual full name. It's the Argo 2 Electric Boogaloo. He just doesn't tell anybody that second part. Piper knows.
Piper 100%
definitely knows.
But Leo has never told Piper, but Piper knows.
But Piper definitely knows, right? And they just never told Jason. So it is... Weird side note, Ferrix is actually related to Jason. How they're related depends on who's telling the myth, but it's an important connection is that, like, much like this kingdom is rightfully Jason's, the fleece is kind of also technically his, but that doesn't super come into play. It's just one of those weird Greek mythology extended canon things that I like to talk about. So many wacky adventures ensue. A lot of them we covered in earlier episodes throughout this season. In Mythology, the book, Edith Hamilton describes the Argonaut journey as the first, or like Jason being the first hero of Europe to undergo a great quest, a generation before Odysseus, which actually answers a question you and I had a couple episodes ago, DJ, when we were trying to figure out the timeline of when did this stuff happen.
Okay.
Like, when did Jason see the sirens? Was it before or after? What? Before.
Nice.
Everything Jason did was before.
Nice.
So I like knowing that there's apparently a loosely established timeline.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Factuals.
So wacky adventures take place, and ultimately they end up in
Hijinks ensues.
and eventually they find themselves in Colchis. Aeetes is still king. Phyrix does not appear in this story anymore. So,
Yeah, he's gone. Phyrix
he's
is gone.
He's just gone. At first, Jason just asks Aeetes if he can have the fleece.
Bold move, I say.
Bold move. And you know what? Oddly diplomatic for a Greek hero. I respect him. Just like, I'm just going to ask and see what happens. The worst he can do is say no.
Yeah.
And actually, that's not true. The worst that could happen is that Aeetes gets deeply fucking offended by the audacity of this stranger and then says, I'm going to have you murdered, basically, by giving you impossible challenges that you will surely die.
Because I can't straight up murder you. That
I'm
would
the
be
hero.
rude.
I'm a Greek hero of this myth, so I guess you're betting on the wrong horse, bud.
Wrong winged horse, motherfucker. So, yeah. As some versions of the story say that Aeetes was so intent on keeping the fleece because there was a prophecy that said he would be king so long as he had the golden fleece, but that's neither here nor there, really. The point is, he's like, okay, Jason, you can have this if you can fulfill these challenges 3. And Jason's like, okay, bet. I've done a lot of cool shit. I'm Jason. I'm the hero of this story. Nothing can possibly go wrong. And the gods are watching this like, he's going to die. These challenges that the king has are just not something that Jason can do on his own.
Wink.
Wink. Conveniently, the king's daughter, a priestess of Hecate named Medea, is a hella powerful badass sorceress who knows what her father has planned. So Hera has Aphrodite send arrows to compel Medea to fall in love with Jason so that she will help get his ass through these trials.
Yeah, if you want someone to ship you, Aphrodite is the way to go.
And Aphrodite is the way to go. And that's exactly what happens. Medea sees Jason, falls in love with him the next day, he's going up to the palace to start those challenges. She intercepts him. She's got her potion bottle. She's got her magic amulet. She's got all of her witchy shit. And she's like, all right, I will help you. I'm just going to need you to pledge your eternal love and loyalty to me. And Jason's like, okay, here you go. So, and then he takes what Medea has, all of her magic stuff.
Here's my heart.
Here's my heart. And he goes up on the challenges. Challenge number 1. Jason has to plow a field of fire-breathing oxen. Fortunately, Medea's potion makes him fireproof. And so he does, and it's great.
Perfect.
Challenge number 2. He has to plant the teeth of a serpent/dragon And when he does, those teeth, then I'm assuming the plowed field, the teeth spring up and become skeletal soldiers that attack him.
Oh, we see Frank do that.
Yeah. Fortunately, Medea gave him an enchanted stone, and when Jason chucks it, the soldiers, the skeleton soldiers, just go after the rock, and he can slip away.
Yeah, there's no subtext there. Throw a rock, win.
Just throw the shiny rock and walk away, and
It's enchanted. It's like a decoy, right?
It's a
he
decoy,
threw
yeah,
it, and
they
like
go
a
after.
hologram of him comes up and says, "I'm over here, jackass."
Probably.
That's just a decoy.
Yeah.
And then they all run after him because they called him jackass, and they don't know what that means.
They just
felt
know it. They know
stupid
it's not
for
good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that means, but I can tell by your tone. It was an insult.
Yeah, fuck you.
Get
Come
him.
here.
So challenge number 3 is the dragon, the sleepless dragon that guards the fleece. So Medea has already given Jason another potion. And so he scrambles up the tree and pours the potion in the dragon's eyes. At the same time, Medea is spinning an enchantment. And these two things combined put the dragon to sleep. I'm sure a sleep this dragon very much needed.
Mm-hmm. And you don't get titled the Sleepless Dragon if you sleep. Now he's got a new title of Sleepless.
Lazy ass son of a bitch, lying ass dragon.
You lied to me. You told me you never slept. Okay, I did it once.
Once, all right?
Once,
All right.
and it was
In
like 100
college.
years. I sleep every 100 years because,
You do need to sleep eventually.
Like,
It's a hyperbole.
like, I am very sorry. Like, yeah, it's been like 95 years since I last slept, so you're coming up on the deadline. You might need another dragon, bud.
Just get a tip. So dragons asleep. Jason grabs the fleece. He and Medea hop on the Argo, and they skip town. As we covered in our Cersei episode, Aegis is pretty fucking pissed. He sends his son after him. Jason kills the son. Medea chops her brother to pieces and scatters the body parts so the king will have to stop chasing them in order to collect the pieces of his son's body.
Pretty fucked.
And
Oh,
then they
yeah,
go to
very much
Cersei's
so.
Island. Now they have the fleece, right? They return. Eventually, they return to Jason's home kingdom with the fleece, and we'll talk about what happens there in the future.
A lot of shit goes down, and it's not fun.
Yeah, stuff goes down. It's not great for really anybody involved, but the fleece stops being important at that point in time, so that we no longer care about what happens in that story right now. One thing of interest is that, as Leo mentioned earlier, these stories were told in a lot of different ways. Like, there were different translations that we're dealing with now, but also just in the time when they were, actively being told as part of like the oral traditions of what would become Greece. There were different versions of this story. One, and we don't really know all of them. They weren't really written down. But there is this piece of pottery circa 480 to 470 BCE, right? It's basically a wine cup. It's a big wine drinking cup that has like it's an image of Jason facing off with the dragon. And on the wine cup, he is being disgorged from the dragon, and the person helping him complete this task isn't Medea, but Athena.
Oh.
So that's just an interesting tidbit on just, again, thesis of this podcast. There's no real wrong way to be telling these stories because they were being told different ways back then. And, Jason being, swallowed by the dragon doesn't really fit in the oral traditions we know, but clearly it was a version of the story that existed at one point in time. And I just thought that was very cool. And honestly, this wine cup, way more interesting than the actual damn Golden Fleece.
Oh, I believe it.
Because, yeah, here's something that I think we get to address now.
It's just the Holy Grail.
Yes, except the Holy Grail supposedly will... Well, even the Holy Grail, yeah, it's just, exactly, DJ. Mm-hmm. It's just the thing that they're after, but the fleece itself is not special. Yeah, maybe there was a prophecy from the king about he would only be king as long as he had it, but...
Maybe. And most stories don't even have that part.
Don't even have that. That's something else, yeah. So, like, why the fleece? It's not magic. Like, the ram could fly. The fleece doesn't give you power of flight. It's not like the Nemean lion pelt where it's impenetrable and it's great for armor. It doesn't... The healing magic thing is something that Rick Riordan put in. Like, that's something he invented to make the fleece relevant for his characters to need to get to drive his plot forward. But
It's a golden-ass fleece from the gods. It's got to do something.
it doesn't.
It doesn't. That's the fun fact. As cool as this is, does absolutely nothing.
Doesn't do anything and stops being important as soon as Jason actually gets it, which makes it, and we've reached the point of this episode, Western storytelling's very first MacGuffin.
The biggest MacGuffin, probably the most famous MacGuffin you can ever have.
I would say like next to perhaps the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Arthurian, which was another thing where it's like, yeah, we have legends that if you drink from the Holy Grail, you'll be immortal or what have you. But like, that's another thing that's like not really. That we added later to justify it. Like,
The Holy Grail was just a thing used by Jesus, and everybody wants it.
It's
Everyone
just
wants
supposed to be
it.
the cup of the last cup that you had during Last Supper. That's it.
Yeah. And
The cup
yeah,
that held
and
his
the
blood.
yeah, exactly. And
Not real
that's
blood,
the
but blood.
blood. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It was
theology.
wine.
So that's what's crazy. Like, having the Golden Fleece didn't make Jason's journey back easier. Orpheus and Medea were way more useful to have on the ship on their journey back than the fleece.
Yes.
So yeah, hella MacGuffin. There are some like theories, like scholarly circle theories about like what the Golden Fleece represented in the myth itself. Like, it could have been, sheep husbandry coming to Greece. It could have been, grain or the sun. But mostly it just represents something unobtainable. And the act of getting it is more important than what it is. And so let's talk about things like that. I would like to talk about, in this episode, MacGuffins. Because here's a fun thing. The Golden Fleece doesn't really show up a lot in things. It's Percy Jackson. I found it in God of War. You can get it as a piece of armor in God of War 2. DJ, you were mentioning it was in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah. But it's not even like anything super important. It's literally just a piece of armor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
most of the other video games that have golden fleeces in it is still on the RAM.
Yeah, it's just the ram.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leo, do you have any other like Golden Fleece specific we could shout out before we just talk about MacGuffins as a whole?
Oh, several of them. So the golden fleece itself is, in most video games, especially an older one like Age of Mythology, ironically, in it, the golden fleece is just a ram that you had a ridiculous amount of health that took forever to kill. But that's about it. It still just ran around like a goat, like any other goat. DuckTales had the Golden Fleece and this is the original 80s cartoon, had an episode with it, which it was just fleece. Scrooge McDuck wanted to have this Golden Fleece to use as yarn. That was it.
Using it as yarn actually makes it way
More useful.
Yeah, at least you can do something with yarn.
And you don't have to kill the sheep for it. You kill the ram for
Yeah,
it. You just shave
you
it.
shear the sheep, and now you have yarn.
Please peel
Like,
your sheeps.
Oh, one of my
I
favorite
hate
ones
that.
that I liked was Disney's Hercules, the animated series, had the Golden Fleece on there, and a whole lot of stuff to Argonauts and lamp shading, which is just hilarious. But my favorite part is that Jason from there gets his hands on the Golden Fleece and then has an emotional crisis because it took him years to get this, and it doesn't do much. It lets them fly. I think it lets somebody fly, but Icarus can already do that.
Yeah, he can already. Yeah, that's Yeah, I appreciate I totally didn't think to check the Disney's Hercules whether or not the fleece was in that, but I love the idea of Jason finally getting it and being like, I spent so long trying to get this, and now what do I do? It's not even special, because like, it's not, and I feel like we should see more people react to their MacGuffins in that manner. Like, was it so special? So we say MacGuffin. I think that's a term that gets thrown around a lot in discourse around like pop culture these days. It's a fun like, it's just the MacGuffin.
That's not what I
But
meant.
let's define it. Let's talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
DJ, I'm gonna throw it to you. MacGuffin. What do you know about it?
So the first thing I think of when I hear MacGuffin, and like honestly, the first time I heard the term, was probably a couple years back, and it's this cute little game called Supraland, Supra land.
Okay.
And it takes place in a sandbox, and it's like the whole gimmick of its trailer on Steam. The very first thing that you see, it's like zooms out and it's showing all the map sizes of all these games, and then it starts zooming back in, and it's like three square feet, and it takes place in a sandbox, and you're just a toy and the whole thing, and it's like, all right, you got to go get the red MacGuffin. The red MacGuffin is a gun. You got to go get the purple MacGuffin, and the purple MacGuffin is a gun that allows you to do a different kind of thing. And that's the whole fucking thing. And I'm like, this is adorable. What the fuck is a MacGuffin? I don't know.
Exactly that thing you have to get. Though it sounds like if it's a gun, it's probably at least.
Oh, it's super useful. Yeah, 100% useful. It's a 3D platforming puzzle game, and it's just a lot of fun. And it's like, yeah, just go get the MacGuffin. Fuck, okay. Because nobody actually knows what it does until you get it.
I like that. Yeah. But yeah, like Leo, like you were about to say, like if it's actually useful to the plot, is it really a MacGuffin? And it depends.
It's a MacGuffin by name in that.
Yeah, it's literally a MacGuffin. I mean, it's still a MacGuffin. True. It's still the red and purple MacGuffins. Yes.
Yeah. Red, purple, green. I think there was a blue and a couple more colors.
Stars and horseshoes.
Yeah, Clovers and
balloons. Oh,
all right, let's
tasty red balloons.
Let's get cinematic in this bitch. Leo, do you want to talk about Alfred Hitchcock and the MacGuffin?
Gladly. So the MacGuffin is a term that came up from an interview with Alfred Hitchcock. And Alfred Hitchcock basically defined as the MacGuffin as an object that is in existence in a film that pushes the plot forward. But it does not matter what that object is. It doesn't have to be, it can't be useful. Sometimes it can. But for the most part, it doesn't matter what you would make that into, it would do that. So like an example for it, like Pulp Fiction, for example, is a good film example.
Yeah.
In Pulp Fiction, they have a briefcase. What's in it doesn't matter. They never show you what's inside the briefcase because it does not matter. It could be a horse for his head or a bottle of jar. Since it doesn't matter what's in it, but everybody wants it, that's more than enough to get the plot going, and that's it.
Yeah. I think Hitchcock's big thing was like the characters care about it, the audience doesn't give a damn. Because it doesn't matter what it is. Like, the audience is not invested in this object because it's interchangeable.
Yeah. If you could replace it with a banana, it still would count.
Yeah, they would still want it just as much for you don't really understand why they want it. You just know the characters do for some inexplicable reason. There's your Hitchcock MacGuffin. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the briefcase is a big one for Hitchcock. In one of his movies, in Psycho, big MacGuffin is the money that Miriam steals at the beginning of the movie that sends her to the hotel where she is murdered. And that's a big driving point. She's stolen this money, now she's got to run away, and it's driving the plot forward. But once she's dead, nobody cares about this thing anymore. It doesn't matter. The audience couldn't give a damn. Even though this is the inciting incident of the plot, this MacGuffin can just it's banana at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
George,
Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
It's one of my favorite games. Is the MacGuffin. Replace it with banana, and if you get the same results, MacGuffin.
I think, George Lucas had a different definition of MacGuffin in that it is something that obviously drives the plot forward because the characters care about it, but so does the audience, which I think makes it extremely different than Hitchcock's definition of MacGuffin, because Lucas would say R2-D2 is a MacGuffin or specifically R2-D2 with the Death Star plans. The Death Star plans are the MacGuffin because the characters need it.
We understand why they want that.
Yes, so that's why it's interesting. Because when you say something is MacGuffin, by what definition? Because the One Ring from not Star Wars, Jesus.
From Star Wars. You put it on your lightsaber and then the blade is invisible.
That sounds like hilarious. That sounds like a safety concern on that one.
It is, 100%.
The One Ring from Lord of the Rings. Right? That one is often people will say oh, gotta get the MacGuffin because everybody wants it. And by Lucas standards, it is a MacGuffin because it's the thing that drives the plot forward. The characters are all after it. The audience cares about it. But by Hitchcockian standards, that's not a MacGuffin because it's not just driving the plot forward. What happens to the One Ring is vital to the plot. The audience cares whether or not it's destroyed. The audience cares who has it. It's not just the thing moving the characters along. It is actually will change the plot depending on who gets it and how. It's very different than the Maltese Falcon in the Maltese Falcon, where they just want the Maltese Falcon, but then who the fuck cares who actually has it? The characters just want it because they want it. Mm-hmm. But who has it doesn't necessarily matter other than the plot just moves around it.
Yeah, that's sort of the big important thing. The plot, it drives the plot forward, but it doesn't really matter what it is exactly. Mm-hmm. So, like, the One Ring does count for it as a MacGuffin because, yeah, if a person puts it on, it makes them invisible. Not that important at all. In fact, very little of it is used except for certain situations.
I feel like... Is that, like, the real power of the One Ring?
No, see, I would disagree. I don't think the One Ring is a true MacGuffin. For this reason.
Yeah. Like, they said, like, because if it's really just, you go invisible, that's a lame fucking power to wage wars over. Mm-hmm. Like, it's got to be person to person what happens when you put it on. Frodo wants to get, like, unnoticed, so he goes invisible when he puts it on.
So, no, I mean, it does make you invisible. Like, the ring does make anybody who puts it on invisible. But, like, it's a piece of Sauron's soul. Mm. And so, like, Sauron, when you have the ring, he can control people. Sauron was controlling people through the ring. Like, he was controlling the dwarves and the kingdoms of men and shit. Like, he was expanding his influence via the rings, and that's why you need to fucking destroy the damned thing.
Okay.
Because if it doesn't get destroyed... Like, it's not like the
heart of the ocean... I haven't seen the movies in a while since I was a child.
No, fair.
So,
I watch them a lot.
I don't know the exact reason and like why the ring is so important. I just know that like it's bad for some people to have it.
It's bad for anybody to have it. No one throw it away. Put it in the volcano, motherfucker. So
destroy it. Cast it in the fire. No.
Yeah. To compare it to another piece of jewelry, which I would say is a MacGuffin, I would bring forth the Heart of the Ocean from Titanic.
Oh yeah, that's a MacGuffin.
It's 100%. The driving plot of the movie. It's the reason this Spielberg
just
insert.
Big ass fucking, just a big blue diamond. It doesn't matter.
Like the Spielberg insert is exploring the Titanic wreckage, trying to find this big ass rock, and then you go in, and that's what brings the old woman in, and she shares her story, and then by the beginning of the second act. Guess who doesn't care about this damn jewelry anymore? The audience definitely doesn't fucking care.
No, we give a shit about the romance that's going on. Even then, I don't give a shit about the romance that's going on.
They're cute, okay? They're cute. It sucks what happened to them. They're cute.
There was enough room on that table. On that
This is not an interesting hot take to have. So
no, it's not.
It's a tragedy. It's like Orpheus and Eurydice, okay? It's sad what happens. So at the end of the movie, she throws in the ocean, and really the audience could not care less because nobody cares about this jewelry. What happens to this thing honestly doesn't matter to the plot, but what happens to the One Ring really matters to the plot. And so that would be my defense of the One Ring as not a MacGuffin. But Leo, I believe you also had a point and I interrupted. I'm so sorry.
I'm trying to remember what it was now. So yeah, my point is that a MacGuffin can do things. So don't think that because the MacGuffin doesn't, like the Golden Fleece doesn't do anything. Later interpretations add in certain things, like it can be acted as armor, or it can be acted as has huge healing powers. That's added later to make it interesting. But if you want an example of something that actually does something but is a MacGuffin, anything that Indiana Jones looks for.
Yes.
Like my personal favorite is the one from the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first big movie.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what it does or even if it does anything. All they know is...
The Nazis, we don't want the Nazis to have it.
The Nazis shouldn't have
That's
it.
the whole plot. That's how it starts. And even Indiana Jones is even a skeptic that this even exists. And so he just all right, I guess I'll do it because I just happen to know the one guy who studied this.
Yeah, exactly. It's the the Ark of the Covenant. Like, we don't know what it does. It might not even do anything, but we don't want the Nazis to have it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really it.
I know in Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, there is like a MacGuffin. I mean, there's a couple MacGuffins in the new Assassin's Creed games. The whole like thing is that like this character that we're following for Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla are collecting these artifacts from a very ancient civilization that essentially created the world. But like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I didn't play Origins. It didn't interest me.
Mm-hmm.
But I played Odyssey, and you get the Rod of Asclepius. And I'm like, cool. And it's a really bad weapon. It's so bad. And it's like, you got to go through the DLCs to power it up. And I just don't want to do that.
Wow, that sounds like a mess.
It's a MacGuffin to make you spend more money. It's the inciting incident. It'll make you spend more money.
Essentially, it's like, now you get this, and we don't want the... And like, sure, if you're holding on to it, you're immortal, right? If you are the wielder of it, you're immortal for God knows how long, because the main character that you play as while in ancient Greece, when you get it in ancient Greece, then like it shoots back to the present day, and you come out of your whatever the fuck animus that you're using, and then you go, and then you meet with that character, and they hand you the Rod of Asclepius, and then they die / disappear / dust, whatever the fuck. And then I'm like, okay.
Why? Sure. Why? What the fuck?
And I get that it's like, we don't want Abstergo to have it because they're the Illuminati, essentially. But it's like, what the fuck?
Basically that.
What does this rod do?
What do you do?
So...
let's see here.
I did not play the game for the story. I played it because it was a fucking fun game to prance around ancient Greece in.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited to play Valhalla.
Oh, that's gonna be kick-ass. I want to talk briefly about how a person can be a MacGuffin.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one example of that is the mother from How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, yeah. There's... doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, literally for most of the story, most of this 7 seasons.
He even memed about them being the mother.
Yeah, like, doesn't matter. Who this person was didn't matter. She herself didn't matter. This was the story being told. And then they fuck it up in the last season by introducing her as a character who's the best character in the series.
100%. Nobody could have been the mother. Nobody else could have been the fucking mother.
No, she was
amazing.
Perfect. As like a character. God, I loved her.
No, she was great.
And then she's not a MacGuffin anymore because I liked her too much. But,
oh no.
And then they killed her. It's like, whatever. Like, I can put the ending aside. The ending wasn't great. I've seen worse endings.
I've seen worse endings.
Yes.
Look. In Defense of How I Met Your Mother, that was what they were going to do all along. The story was never about her. It was always about Robin. That's why the mother was the MacGuffin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not bad. If they hadn't ever introduced us to her, I think the ending would have been stronger because we wouldn't have been sad that she died because we don't know who this person is.
Yeah, I think it was if they had literally taken out like all the parts that surrounded her and made her like, oh fuck, we love her. Buying Ted Mosby a drink for punching the guy in the face. That was awesome. Her whole How Your Mother Met Me episode. Heartbreaking. Are you fucking kidding me? The song at the end of that episode, like her being so adorkable throughout that whole fucking episode, and just like getting along with Lily and
picking up Marshall
and just everything,
and helping
incredible.
Barney.
Had they removed all of that and had it just been like, oh, I ran into her at the train station because of the umbrella.
We never see her. It's the umbrella. If they'd committed to that, then it would have been like, oh yeah, it was, and then we were like, it was never about her. It was always about Robin. We knew that all along. Tight. But they made us love her. I'm gonna have to cut all of this. It has nothing to do. But I do. That's still my favorite episode. Is How Your Mother Met Me.
It is
such
one of my favorites.
Wonderful episode. Oh my god.
So good. So Saving Private Ryan.
Ryan is the MacGuffin.
It doesn't matter who Private Ryan is.
It doesn't. And that was, I was reading when I was looking up good MacGuffins to talk about. Like, I read a brief article entry on this one where it talks about how like Spielberg, in this one, he really encapsulates the idea of MacGuffin in that it does not matter who or what the MacGuffin is. It just the characters want it so bad, and then it also highlights the strangeness of why, of the futility of why did you want this so badly when you see the cost of it. Was it worth going after? Like the Golden Fleece, was it ever worth this? What comes after? And so, like, Saving Private Ryan, these folks are sent out, this team is sent out to save this private from the war zone because he's got 3 brothers. They were all sent out to war. He's got 2 brothers. There's 3 brothers.
No, it was 4
it's 3.
kids.
It was 4 kids. 3
kids.
brothers got killed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fourth
So
one is
And it's like,
I know all.
do you
but
really
him.
want to be the one to tell that woman that 3 of her sons, or like all 4 of her sons died? We got to get this guy back here.
Yeah. So they
Like,
go
I
out
can
to-
only imagine.
Yeah. Well, fuck. Right. So they get there, and everybody else on that team dies. Right. I guess major spoilers for Saving Private Ryan, but
Everybody dies on that team.
everybody dies, and at the end, like the last guy living who's like saving this kid. He's a kid. He's like 18. It's the fucking
Yeah,
war.
he's like 20, like somewhere around there. Like fucking,
Whatever.
he was trained for like 6 months, shipped
And
off
then
at
shipped
18.
off,
So
yeah.
yeah, he's like
fucked
18,
up.
19 years old. It's
Yeah.
fucked.
He tells him, make this matter. So it costs so many lives to get to this MacGuffin who, as you said, doesn't matter who this guy is. Like,
Yeah.
him, it's not like he's an inherently like virtuous person. It's not like he's the Trojan one. He's just some guy. They could be out there getting a crock pot and it would be the same thing. So the point is, like, make the MacGuffin matter. And then at the end, he's at like a funeral and he's crying because he's trying to figure out whether he was worth all of that. Did the life he lived make it worth all of that?
Yeah, that was a rough scene.
That was
too.
rough,
Just
yeah.
like him standing
Yeah.
in front of that grave was.
But yeah, I mean that's was what made the movie interesting. Even though who Private Ryan is doesn't matter, but it's that story of like sacrifice. You go after something, what makes it worth it? What
Yeah.
makes that kind of sacrifice? That's what MacGuffin often is.
Yeah. I had a note on this. One thing I've always found. So this is a bit of a tangent, but there's a show that Sci-Fi used to do called Warehouse 13. Now, I loved it.
Warehouse 13.
Sadly, I didn't get the chance to see the final season of that, but I saw the
neither.
first 3. Love it. But this is a series that is basically, so people will throw out Monster of the Week as a series.
Uh-huh.
A Monster of the Week, in theory, is a MacGuffin, but it's not. Because a Monster of the Week, it's important what the monster is.
You can't solve the problem. The problem
monster still going
solution is
around.
unique to the monster.
That's right. Yeah. However, Warehouse 13, that's a box, a whole series of MacGuffins on there.
MacGuffins, yeah.
Oh, I loved it. One of my favorite and so they take a little object, have a little bit of history, and for the most part, in most of those series, a lot of those episodes, they don't even know what the MacGuffin does.
Yeah.
And then the only cases that they do know what the MacGuffin does is because it screwed a bunch of other agents previously, so they have the notes for it.
They have notes. This is bad.
Ironically, they have the Golden Fleece in there, and it's mentioned, and it heals people. That's just classic one.
Classic healing.
I'm always torn, which is my 2 favorite MacGuffins they have in there, which is either the the disco ball from Studio 54. Where apparently, if I'm understanding the notes right, it absorbed the euphoria of being in Studio 54 because everyone was high as a kite there, and so you just do. But the thing is, and this is the second part of it, they don't know what activates the MacGuffin most of the time either.
I love that, yeah, because it's not something that's just constantly going. There's usually something
For the
that
disco
triggers
ball,
it.
I imagine it's just turn on Disco Inferno, and it just makes everybody fucking
Boogie
horny
nights.
and high.
It was lights that reflected it, but they
Oh,
had
that
to
makes a lot
reflect
of
off
sense.
it. So the thing is that during the day, if you turned on, because during the day, it's just the whole room's lit up.
Uh-huh.
There's nothing to bounce off the lights from because it's all just masked with the rest.
Yeah,
so you only felt it
everything
when you were in the club.
That makes sense.
The other one, which I thought was both frightening but hilarious, is John Wilkes Booth's left boot.
Oh my god, I don't remember that one.
It's not in the series, but they made notes about it, and it just always blew my mind when they had this. It was because John Wilkes Booth is the assassin who shot Abraham Lincoln and it's the world's biggest manhunt to find the assassin.
Yeah.
The whole armies
Saw him
of
at a theater.
Yeah.
Samurai Somewhere just wasn't super stoked about that.
So here's the brief note in history of that. So he doesn't get caught for 13 days. And when he doesn't get caught, the thing is that when he fell off the banister, when he jumped off the banister, landed and said his weird line, which I can't remember.
Doesn't matter, he's an asshole.
Doesn't matter. He's an asshole.
South will rise again. I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually
Some
something like
shit.
that. Yeah, South Rise again.
Something shitty.
So he says that and leaves with a limp. No one catches him for 13 days. Here's the thing: on the he broke part of his leg. It basically got cut and somewhat infected, and he just
Ha.
walked off and just escaped town for 13 days. So the thing is, what the boot does is if you wear it, John Wilkes Booth's boot, you would have 13 days of whatever crime that you committed. You are never going to be caught.
That's
for
so
13 days. Exactly.
That's
However-
strange.
weird Warehouse 13 was.
It was, the notes on that was, I don't know what kind of jackass would do a crime and then also wear a boot from the Civil War for 13 days straight.
Yeah,
I
right?
can't imagine the arch support in that boot.
Oh, it's...
Oh, right.
yeah,
It's bogus. You're going to have shin splints for sure. Leo, I know you wanted to mention one show specifically.
oh, right. There was one show that was basically, and if you guys were around to check it out, amazing show, Jackie Chan Adventures.
I remember this. DJ, do you
don't.
remember this
Like,
show?
I think I've seen maybe 1 or 2 episodes, but as a kid, again, it was like a little before me.
Yeah, me and Johnny were super into Jackie Chan Adventures.
Oh, Jackie Chan Adventures is amazing. Adventuring archaeologist finds these talismans these magical talismans. And here's why I wanted to bring it up is because it's the perfect example of how you have a MacGuffin that's not a MacGuffin.
Mm-hmm.
The plot lines around all these around a lot of the episodes is about the talismans themselves. And even every season, it's either a talisman or a form of the talisman. However, during those episodes, it does not matter which one it is, which makes them both a MacGuffin and not a MacGuffin. It matters that it's a talisman, but it doesn't matter which one of the talisman's powers it does.
Mm-hmm.
And I also loved it because, like, if you combine the powers, you can get other stuff, crazy things.
Yeah, that was right.
I did
Nice.
love, what was it? Someone has the power of the dog, which gave you immortality, but not healing. And the guy who had both of those, he like, okay, I'm going to give away the horse, so I don't have to heal. Why would I bother healing? I'm immortal.
Oh, buddy, that's a huge mistake.
Oh yeah,
Immortal is not invincible.
no.
Or eternal youth.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's how he ended up getting thrown at 60 miles an hour into a wall, and just felt every bit of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you're
don't
not
want
dying.
that. You're dying.
But-
Or maybe you never die, but you feel that forever.
hmm
Yeah.
Oh, it was such a good show.
Yeah,
And-
it
but
was
yeah,
super fun.
That is an example of a MacGuffin, not a MacGuffin. It's a weird scenario.
Yeah.
I would argue that Ramona Flowers is a MacGuffin.
Ooh. Go on, DJ. You have our attention.
Because, I mean, as we know, a MacGuffin is the heroes working towards something they want.
Uh-huh.
Now, Scott's working towards just being able to live a life with Ramona Flowers. So
Uh-huh.
maybe it's that life with Ramona Flowers that is MacGuffin. Sure, it's not a true MacGuffin, right? But it's still working towards an end goal that they want. That I think is pretty cool.
No, I mean, that's true because I mean, it's just because Scott likes her, but he doesn't know her, and Ramona herself isn't like. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say in the comics, in the graphic novel, she's even more of a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Because she's just this
Mysterious girl.
mysterious girl in that, like, it's kind of like joking on, like, oh,
I'd say in the
mysterious
movies,
cool
she's
girl.
the most MacGuffin. Because she is
Yeah, 'cause
literally
they-
like,
they
we know
give her more in
we
the
don't get any
comics.
fucking backstory for Ramona Flowers except she dated all these people.
Mhm.
And she's just,
but
honestly,
it's-
she's just kind of there.
Yeah, but I think, could we replace Ramona Flowers with just a really, really nice banana that everybody wants?
I
yes,
believe
we
so.
could. Yes, we
Yeah.
could.
At
I
least, at least in
remember-
the movies.
yeah,
In the
at
books,
least in the movie, yeah.
in the books, no, they go into who Ramona is, and she's
Yeah, she's a little
kind
bit
of a
more
snarky
person.
bitch, and I love her.
Like, she disappears for 3 months, and she's like, I was just at home watching. I
was
at
that my
uncle's
dad's
cabin."
binging X-Files? Like,
X-Files, that's what it was. That's what another show with a
Um,
lot of MacGuffins, I would say, probably.
Probably, yeah. Let's see here. But yeah, those are sort of the big MacGuffins on it. The only other thing I could think of that's worldwide famous and no one thinks about it as being a MacGuffin, Pokemon. It does not matter what the Pokemon creatures are. They're interchangeable.
I would say in the TV show.
In the TV
yes,
show, they're
because-
interchangeable.
Yes, because Ash just wants to catch them all. It doesn't matter. I would say in the game, they're
Yeah.
less MacGuffin-y because you, the
Mhm.
player, want certain ones to fulfill your goals.
And then we get into the movies with like Mewtwo and shit. It's like, yeah, we know why people want that fucking Pokemon.
Oh yeah, we know it.
What
But
were you
like,
saying, Leo? Yeah.
who's the? But in the show, nah, you can. Ash barely even uses the other Pokemon in the first place. In some
Yeah,
of the movies.
Pikachu's a
right.
MacGuffin to the fucking Team Rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's. I wonder. So all the Pokemon are MacGuffins to Ash, but is Pikachu a MacGuffin for Team Rocket? Because they, well,
I don't think Giovanni gives a shit about the Pikachu.
I mean,
anymore.
if Giovanni's the audience, Pikachu's a MacGuffin. He doesn't fucking care.
Yeah. It's
So-
literally just those two, and it's like, yeah, we want it because it's just a really strong Pikachu.
So technically, that
gives
means
a
that. So I guess that would mean that for the series Invader Zim, Earth is technically a MacGuffin. Because
I
all
like
they
that
wanted to do was get Zim off the planet.
Get
That's
him
why they
off.
haven't.
I didn't
What
even
is it?
realize that Earth was actually a fucking thing. It's like, just go to this area and invade that planet. That area is uncharted. We don't know what's there, and so it's most likely dangerous, and he's going to die. Did Zim just send us a fucking communications request? Excuse me?
Motherfucker, that's not what we wanted.
We don't want that. We don't fucking want that. We don't care.
How's it go? But I was the best conqueror in Invasion Pending Doom 1. Yeah, that's why we have to have an invasion. You conquered us, Zim. That's why we have to have an Invasion Pending Doom 2 now.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Do we have any final thoughts on MacGuffin? Any final thoughts on Golden Fleece that we want to dive into? Because I think this has been a really fun conversation. I enjoy this. I love talking.
Adventure Zone is all about MacGuffins and balance.
Yeah. Yeah, Adventure Zone is all
I-
about MacGuffins.
I would say they are not MacGuffins because
Not true MacGuffins, but they're MacGuffins.
they're
Especially the spectacles. They don't know what the fuck they did.
Yes. Okay. That's a good point. Yeah, well, now we're not done yet. I'm about to talk about Adventure Zone. So I think they're like, much like the talismans, it doesn't necessarily matter which one they're after, but eventually they're not MacGuffin anymore because they do become central to. It's not just the driving force of the plot; they are the cause
Spoilers
and
for
the end
Adventure
of the
Zone,
plot.
but it becomes the seed of life.
Yeah. It's so good. I guess here's something I think is interesting about MacGuffins is that I feel like recently, and maybe not, I mean, recently air quotes, right? It's hard to define recently in pop culture, but the presence of a MacGuffin is implied to be bad. Like if the plot is driven forward because of the presence of MacGuffin, people are. It's suggested that this plot is bad, this plot is weak because MacGuffin is there.
Yeah, but fetch quests are just been a thing.
Yes,
And,
right.
like that's a really minute way to put it, but like fetch quests
Jason
have
and
always
the
been a thing.
Argonauts.
It's
Yeah,
a big fetch
literally.
quest. That's it.
It's all the and like the MacGuffin, strong fucking item we don't want in the hands of evil people. Let's go and get the
Yeah.
heroes to take it.
Yeah, I think exactly. I would say like the presence of a MacGuffin isn't inherently a bad thing to have. Like your story, you're not a bad storyteller because you have MacGuffin that doesn't actually do anything. The characters just want it for any explicable reason. But I think you have a weak story if the audience, whilst consuming the story, is thinking, why I don't care, why I don't care, why I don't care about this. Like, why do you care about? I don't care about this because the audience should. I think when you have a MacGuffin, the audience doesn't have to care about the MacGuffin, but they should care enough about the characters to want them to have the MacGuffin or want other characters not to have it. Like, we like Indiana Jones. We don't really care about the Ark of the Covenant. I mean, it's important, right? It's an important Hebrew artifact. Like, yeah, that's important. But in the story, it's like, I don't really care. But I like Indy, and I want him to succeed. And
we
hate the
don't
Nazis,
like the
and I want them to
Nazis.
fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's
They
not...
can rot.
Yeah, we want to see them melt. Damn it. And we do.
And we do.
And the movie gives it to us. Thank you so much. So, yeah, that's just something I want to talk about in MacGuffins because I've like the original cut of Justice League, you'd get a lot of Mother Box MacGuffin. Oh, bad movie because of MacGuffin. And I'm like, I think it was a weak movie because of other things. Because you in this film shouldn't be thinking, gotta get the MacGuffin. Like the Infinity Stones.
Those are total MacGuffins.
They're pretty MacGuffin-y.
Yeah.
But you
In
also
fact,
have...
they changed their MacGuffin twice. They used to be
Yeah.
one thing and then they're another.
Yeah. But
It's
then
like,
you
it's
have...
the Tesseract, but that's actually the Infinity Stone of Space.
Yeah, they change it. But then you'll do something like, well, if this character gets the MacGuffin, he's gonna destroy the planet and kill all these space bandits that we like. Okay, dance party. Dance battle, let's go. And like, okay, I like this. Or, okay, here's your MacGuffin. We have actually put it inside the forehead of one of these characters you like, and now this guy wants to kill him over it. Do you care now?
And my personal favorite with that is the Infinity Stones by themselves are a MacGuffin, but in the Endgame, it becomes... once they're in the gauntlet, in the Endgame, it's not a MacGuffin. And the reason why is because they know what it can do.
Yeah, it's not just we want it because we don't want you to have it. It's because they need it. They need it to complete the plot. It doesn't just drive the plot. Like, once they have the stones, the plot doesn't end, right? Like, getting it is the point. Using it is the point. Like, I would say the Infinity Stones are more like the One Ring.
Yeah.
They're not like the Golden Ticket and Willy Wonka.
No. Golden Ticket, Willy Wonka, it doesn't matter what that ticket is.
Yeah, like, great. It matters because somebody wants it, Charlie has it, and now he gets to go on the adventure. But the Golden Ticket doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Could have been a really nice banana.
Yeah, it could have been a really nice banana. Probably healthier for you.
Is this episode going to be called The Golden Fleece Could Have Been a Really Nice Banana?
That's a nice title for that. Could have been a nice
Snuggie.
Oh, right. We had to call it the Golden Snug. We didn't talk about it being a Snuggie at all. All right, we got to tack it in there so we can call that. What? No, I think we decided Letterman's jacket is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it could be a Snuggie. Why not?
Yeah, it could just be like a fleece blanket. I got one lying around here somewhere.
It would be hilarious if
like
it turned out that, like, the Letterman, like, the Golden Fleece can be whatever it wants, but it's stuck on the Letterman jacket, and we haven't figured out how to get it unstuck.
I mean, Jason has mad, like, varsity football bro vibes. Or at the very least, varsity track star vibes. He was a pole vaulter. You just fucking know it.
I believe it. I believe that, like, most heroes probably lettered in whatever they were doing. Like, Orpheus absolutely lettered in band.
Oh, yeah. Orpheus says Totes McGoats got banned. Letterman. And they'll give a Letterman to anybody as long as they're good enough.
Yeah, or the school's too small. There goes ours.
The only other thing I can think of is, like, I mean, I'm glad we went with banana instead of my other title of that, which would be, like, a MacGuffin that's a McMuffin. Because if you have a McMuffin for a MacGuffin, well, that really just feels like there's some stuffing. You know what? Now that I think about it, this is worth nothing.
Now you got.
I hate it.
When you brought up a muffin, there's something's hitting a bell in my head. That's like, there was one time a muffin was really powerful, and that people should not have fucking eaten it, and I cannot think.
Yeah, what is that?
Oh shoot, I do know that one.
Yeah, okay, no.
Yes, that is. What is that? Oh my god,
is that?
Did you just end our episode on this? Holy
Maybe.
Shit.
Muffin.
Cosmic? Is it cosmic?
It's a cosmic muffin of some sort.
Is it Fairly Odd Parents?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
All right. That
you take a bite and it gives you a wish.
Yeah,
yes. Magic muffin.
It wasn't the wishes like it would win against the rules. It didn't matter what the rules were.
It didn't matter. You could wish for anything.
because it was the genie's muffin that he got.
Yes. Right. Okay.
No, wait. He was giving it to it by Cosmo Wanda for a 1 year anniversary.
It was the present.
Right.
It was the present. Right. It was a movie.
Was it a movie?
I think it was a movie, or it was a special at the very least.
It
was a special. Every bite.
Okay.
I think we just ended the MacGuffin episode with a muffin.
Fuck yeah! All right. Well, DJ, thank you for that. Leo, thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Let's head up to the big house and check out the trophy room. Is there anything you want to show off before you go?
Not that I could think of. I got.
This is where you plug your stuff again.
Yeah. So like, what I could think of is just to check out Gaming Theater Presents on YouTube. You can search for that if you want to. Link's probably in the description somewhere.
They will certainly be there. I have written episodes for that.
Yes. Most of the episodes, either we did collaborations or Darian has written the whole thing.
It's fun. It's basically what we do here, but I get to talk about not Greek mythology things. It's great.
Yeah, it's super great. And then also there's other episodes coming up, and I hope you guys check it out and enjoy the entirety of the channel, or just parts and pieces. Don't care. Have fun with it.
Leo works super hard. He puts together really cool stuff. There's a lot of other really neat artists and voice actors who collaborate on these projects, and it's just a cool place for a lot of cool people to get to show their creative skills. So, yeah, y'all, go check it out. It's down the link. Poke it around. You'll find something you like, I promise. Well, that is gonna do it. So thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate you just sharing your time with us. What are some of your favorite MacGuffins? Did you disagree with things that we classified as are or as not MacGuffins? Let us know. Shoot us an email, poseidonpod@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter or Instagram @podcastofposeidon. I'm sure as you're listening to this, if you're listening to this the day it released, there is definitely a story on our Instagram with a poll, and you can respond to that. Let me know what you think.
Don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and some of you are listening there. We'd love to hear from you, and as well, leave us what your favorite MacGuffin is there.
Just leave a review of the podcast, and then just say, a MacGuffin.
And we will read it next episode.
I would love to read it next episode.
Be wonderful.
Speaking of the next episode, that is going to be, last episode of season 2.
Oh, shoot. We're talking about the Odyssey.
We're talking about the Odyssey, our big fat Odyssey episode, wrapping it up proper, actually deep diving into the Odyssey, full stock. Let's go. We'll see what happens. And then season 2's over, and we'll let y'all know what that means when we come back for that episode. But that will be in your ears in 2 weeks, Tuesday, November 9th, for our big fat Odyssey finale. Until then, thank you all for listening, and don't be like Zeus.
Don't be like Zeus.
Yeah, just don't be like Zeus. He wouldn't like a MacGuffin either.
Podcast of Poseidon is created and hosted by Darian and DJ Smart. It's edited by Darian Smart. The show is produced by Darian and DJ Smart, as well as
Tim O'Connor, the Crystal Con Man. Our music is Athens Festival by Martin Hain, and our cover art is by Audrey Miller. You can find her on Instagram at bombshellnutshellart.
Like the show? Ready for more? Support Podcast of Poseidon on Patreon. Just $1 gets you exclusive bonus content. Find out more at patreon.com/podcastofposeidon.
Can't spare the drachmas? You can support the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or by sharing us with your friends. Find all of our episodes and episode transcripts at podcastofposeidon.com.
Thanks for listening.